Hello, my name is Will. Welcome to Mindful Hopeful Dreams. I hope I find you in good health and I toast your well-being and continued good health. If this is your first visit, then you are more than welcome, and if you're returning, I'm deeply grateful to you. If anything in the video resonates with you or you just wish to support, then I'd appreciate if you could give me a like. Maybe think about commenting and even sharing with friends you think this might be useful to. Above all, I would appreciate you subscribing as an act of goodwill. If nothing else, it brings no obligations whatsoever other than demonstrates your support and your understanding of my little effort here. So I wish you well, as I say, toast you with my hot cup of tea, and let's get on with the video. Take care. There's a near-blind cat who wants to come and visit with me. I feed him, he accepts my food, but just will not come close to me. His instinct are for, I don't know, maybe he's experienced some horrible things in his life, and even though he comes and he stares at the house, and which means that he wants me to feed him, I can't get close to him, her, sorry, beg your pardon, her. I call her E.T. because she is the spitting image of Shadow, the little cat I lost a while ago and I miss desperately. Signs of spring are here, nothing subtle about them. The road is dry, no pools of water. Yes, the poor little cat will not come close to me, even though she will accept my food and she will eat it. I've tried to worm her, but anything strange she just steps back from, her instinct. Trust so far, but verify, and I don't get a chance for her to verify. There's a welcome for her in the house. I've made a little igloo bed for her in the portico, but she still won't come in. And I regret that because she's clearly at the end of her life, and it breaks my heart to think of her alone. But that's all she's ever known. That's all she's ever known. Give me a moment, I'm about to do some gymnastics over this gate. And also, I had a set of notes earlier, don't have them now. I reckon I've left them in the field. I was having a bit of a recce. Give me a moment to get over this. I tell you what I could also show you, but I'm not going to. I could, is there's a skeleton of a cow down here somewhere. I nearly went there. Over there's the stream, and there's a skeleton of a cow with a big skull. I don't want to show it to you and upset you, but a constant reminder, memento mori, the time is passing, that we should be taking full advantage of everything we've got. I remember a farmer used to keep, I'll turn this around, not necessarily for your benefit. I remember a farmer brought his cows here, and I used to regard him as being a 90% farmers, whereas the rest of the farmers on the island are superb. The beauty of the island is a credit to them and how they manage the land. I called him a 90% farmer. The reason I called him a 90% farmer is because he never quite fixed that gate, that hedgerow or that fencing over there. He would do it tomorrow, do it later, do it next week. Never. Cows used to escape. And he accused me once of killing a cow. How the heck I'd done it, I don't know. He accused me of throwing tomato plants, which are poisonous, I acknowledge that. I hadn't done that. It was just poor welfare. And they were strange cows. They were quite, I called them Apache cows, because they were imbued with an attitude and nothing scared them. Ordinary cows are curious, but they will stop at a fence. This lot just found a way through. Gorse grows Eastern in Welsh, grows throughout winter. It's an astonishing plant, and when the sun hits it, it is absolutely glorious. Let's have a look. And behind all of that, there are some wonderful, let's have a look here, some wonderful blackberries. I'm talking blackberries of about, not the small ones, larger than an inch, and they're glorious. This used to be all open, now only cows wander through. I've been living here for quite a while. These are not my fields. Used to be open. Let's see where we go here. And these days there are many secret places only known to the animals who live here. And birds, not many around today. I'm trying to get this recorded before the aeroplanes come back. We're not that far away from an airbase here, and it's a fine day, so after a long, wet, miserable winter, I imagine that, you know, they'll take advantage of every hour going. So I imagine they're being refueled, and somebody will have signalled that I'm in the field, and therefore they will be coming for me. Nature's wonderful and very sensitive. I get the impression if you only send photons or reflections of photons towards an animal, it will know instinctively that somebody's there. Maybe it's instinct. I think it's just biological. It's survival instinct. And the sky is so blue. It's been a long, messy winter. Bear with me. There's wind, but it's still calm and it's still warm. And yet 40 miles away from here, they'll have the same sunshine, and it'll feel colder. I know this from a report I received just earlier. So sight is something incredibly important. We send out sight. Hunters send out their hearing and their sight in when they hunt. And I got this theory that, well, it's proved really by my cousin, who had an operation on her foot about a couple of years ago. And she lived in agony for about a week and a half afterwards. And if you were just to look at her foot, her injury, she would wince. Or she was picking on me, which is nothing new. You need somebody to moan against. Happy to be that person. And I keep seeing little ghosts, I think. I'm not sure if that is true, but I keep seeing ghosts, shadows that just out of the periphery of my sight. I'm aware of them, and some are familiar. Over the years, I've had about, I don't know, half a dozen cats here. All very good friends. And then they're gone, but occasionally. And this is something I mentioned previously, in that there is a clairvoyant once visited the house, and not as a clairvoyant, but as a builder, ex-soldier, and he had clairvoyance, and he told me, that I lived in a very warm place, and I said, I know, it's lovely and warm and safe, and he said, yeah, but you do know you've got company, to which I said, okay, and he said, yeah, it's a warm place and you've got company, but don't worry about it, they're friendly. I think I understood what he meant. The cats knew when a ghost was about, because they would all, 4 of them at one time, their heads would just turn and they would see something on the wall and they would follow it, invariably from left to right in synchrony, and it was wonderful. All I would do is say hello and wave a hand occasionally. Oh dear, listen to this, isn't this delightful? And as I get older, it passes so quickly. Yeah, ghosts, oops. Sorry, I slipped. And yeah, ghosts. I'm convinced that this theory about ghosts, and it's probably completely wrong, but most people seem to have daft ideas about most things these days, so I might as well make my own contribution. I think ghosts can only be seen at twilight. The sun's too bright to see them during the day or just normal daylight, and at night they're just invisible because they've faded into the darkness. I'm convinced they can only exist at twilight. Not too light, not too dark. So they turn up to be acknowledged, I suppose. I've got no problem with that. I say hello. I see movement, and I haven't been touched by the grand wibbly wobbly. I'm not mystical. I do nothing of that sort. All I do is sometimes I feel a presence, or I see light, I see shadow move, especially in the very old churchyards. I think even ghosts want to be acknowledged. I don't think it's a matter of being scary. I think they just wish to be acknowledged that they once lived, and I'm happy to do that. And in the very old churchyards I visit often near the north of the island, I make a habit of the very, very old gravestones, barely legible these days. I always say hello, and if I can read the name, I will say the name, and I will say, hello, how are you? I hope you're well. And I hope it helps. Our stay here is so temporary, and as you get older, my age, you realise that. I was talking with a friend the other day, and he obviously hadn't thought of this, and I said, do you believe that you've reached this age? Teenage and early 20s seems so recent, and the rest seems to have, I don't know, busied itself away from us. I was reading the other day, I was reminded of Terry Pratchet, an author, British author, who amusingly was once a very good writer. He was once accused of literature, which he found amusing. If you read his work, you'll find out it's not amusing. He's an incredibly good writer of popular Discworld. Here come the jets. Let's move around a bit. There's nothing special about these fields. In fact, not many of them, but I'm an expert in my field, and I'm an expert in that field over there as well, in which the cows are. And that's another thing that made me think recently. Two things: the cows and a friend's operation that did not happen. She had an operation due, and we turned up at the hospital in time at 7:30 in the morning with a great number of other people, everybody waiting, I think about 5 theatres. And slowly we worked it out. We worked out that the operation was going to be cancelled. Because we worked out nobody else had been told what we've been told, that the operation may or may not go ahead, it depends. And that was it. And then eventually we were told formally the operation is not going to happen, and that they would get in touch for another date. And it was an operation we've been waiting for a long while, actually 2 years. And then last minute we were told, having made all the preparations, filled the fridge with food, I'd taken all my equipment over, I was going to be there and take care of my friend. And as I say, be an object of occasional bad temper, but it's okay. Suck it up to get older. And it didn't happen. And we made our way from the hospital, and the day seemed strange, and the week after seemed very, very strange, because quite simply we were living in the wrong timeline. We should have been living in the timeline during which my friend would have had her operation, and she would then be recovering. But that didn't happen, and the day felt wrong. And Terry Pratchet, as I said, good author, he talked about it, going down the wrong trouser leg of time. He was talking about bifurcation, where a decision is made, and instead of going down the one we anticipated, we ended up going down the wrong one. And it felt empty. It felt strange, and something which we'd been depending on to happen for the last 2 years was cancelled last minute. It's strange. I forgot my phone. I was thinking the same. I was thinking the same last week, actually. It's about a week after the operation. Let me do this. And I was thinking the same last week, actually. A week after the operation, when I realised that there were now more cows in the field than before. 3 cows and 2 calves. And 1 calf had arrived here and gone missing. I've searched around this field, all these fields, 5 of them. No sign. I've looked in the ditches, I've looked in the gorse, I've looked in the brambles and everything, and no sign of it. I haven't got a clue where it went, and yet there it is, missing. So the cows are in the field over there. 2 mums with their calves and 1 mum without her calf. It also reminded me of something a friend of mine told me ages ago about sheep, lambs when they go to slaughter. There is a period of time during which they're afterwards, when they've been separated from their young ones, that they're in a state of distress which recedes over a couple of days, and then they carry on. It saddens me because I don't like the idea of lives being unlived. And it's the same with the cow without the calf. Her story went down the wrong trouser leg of time. A different timeline to the one that she had anticipated biologically, probably. And it's the same with us and the operation for my friend, my cousin. What was that? Yes, I always acknowledge ghosts. I honestly do. Say hello. And have enormous sympathy. They may be full of regret of decisions they made or decisions they allowed others to take for them out of cowardice. They lived in the wrong timeline. Not the timeline they wanted to live in, and their evil twin lived the best timeline. Just look how many plants. That's the co-pastor coming on very early. It's going to be everywhere soon. And it's a track with fluffy hedging, which is beautiful for a couple of weeks, and then it fades away. And yeah, I long for it, I thrive on it, and then I miss it. And thinking of next year's reminds me of that. Time will pass. I'll be a year older and closer to something or other, which many people, next stage of the journey that many people have already taken. Back to the house.